Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me today. My name is Elizabeth Estell, and I am the Senior Director of Sales South here at Digital Remedy. So what we're going to cover today in a very brief time, because I know I stand between you and all of the fun afternoon activities, is a quick intro to who we are at Digital Remedy, what is Performance CTV, how Performance CTV actually delivers outcomes for our brand and agency partners, and then a quick little bit about the insights in action. So who are we here at Digital Remedy? We've been in business for over 20 years as a performance marketing company. But what we're really rooted in on our core is our excellence in customer service. And what you might be thinking is, no shit, Elizabeth, no vendor that's going to get up here is going to say our customer service sucks. But what we actually have, other than just kind of a humble brag about that, is the numbers and actual facts to back that up. We have a 90% year-over-year client retention rate, which is unheard of not only for ad tech, but for a company that has been around for over 2 decades. From a campaign performance perspective, we have an over 480% return on ad spend for average connected television campaigns. So again, I think this really speaks volumes to what we've built from a technology and service perspective here at Digital Remedy, and is why our agency and brand partners keep coming back to us year over year. So what do we do here at DR? So we are a premier omni-channel solution that really kind of has our bread and butter rooted in connected television as well as CTV. Really building tech-based solutions that are bespoke and custom to our clients that are actually driving measurable and attributable outcomes that are wrapped in our full end-to-end service from a white glove perspective. Moving into performance CTV solutions. So let's kind of start by defining what performance CTV is, right? So performance CTV is an advertising strategy that uses connected television or OTT to drive, measure, and optimize specific outcomes. So when we talk about outcomes here at DR, we're talking about things such as offline sales, in-store sales, foot traffic attribution, site visits, lead generation, right? We believe that your connected television and your CTV campaigns need to go past vanity metrics of just deliver in full or 95% completion rate, right? And so that's really what we've built here at DR. How do we do this? With a few different things. So first and foremost comes inventory, right? We only work with direct publishers on a one-to-one basis. And I'm going to kind of elaborate here on that in a little bit. Pair that with our multi-methodology attribution, right? I would say for the most part, the large majority of the advertisers and brand partners that we work with typically use last touch attribution. And that's great, right? If that's kind of your North Star, your success metric. But there are other ways to really slice and dice that data to understand what's really driving kind of the user journey and kind of moving consumers through that funnel. Pair that with custom and bespoke measurement. So we offer real-time brand lift insights, incrementality, as well as our custom halo effect, which I'll also share with you guys in a minute. And then wrap all that up with our AI algorithms that make sure from a campaign KPI and goal perspective that we're hitting and exceeding all those benchmarks that you guys set with us on day one. So from an inventory perspective, like I mentioned, we only work with one-to-one direct publisher deals out of a very short list of 53 pubs. So what I like to say is if you were home right now and you were to walk into your living room and turn on your Vizio or your Samsung or your LG, whatever your TV OEM is of choice, all of the apps that you would see on that TV at home is the only thing that we buy on behalf of our customers. You have the ability to custom curate any of those CTV lists up front. And then we're also fully transparent throughout the entire campaign, as well as for any of our wraps, about where all of that performance is happening and what is actually happening from a performance perspective by those publishers. We don't really believe in buying long tail. If you were to ever run a campaign with us and get a site list and you would see something like ctv.app.sudoku, and you're like, Elizabeth, what is that? We would never purchase any of that. So everything that we buy is everything from ESPN to Paramount to Sling to Hulu, right? Those name brand apps that all of you stream, on a daily basis within your home. Moving into measurement and attribution. So obviously it starts first with inventory, but making sure that we're actually moving the needle, you guys, in terms of campaign performance. So obviously being able to look at insights from an aggregate perspective holistically for your campaign is great, but understanding what's really moving the needle when you kind of get below or underneath the hood. From a publisher perspective, from a creative perspective, right? What does that look like in terms of locations, device, day parts, right? Being able to really slice and dice that data and understand what's truly driving the needle for your CTV and OTT campaigns. Um, in terms of what this looks like for our core pillars, so outside of just obviously standard campaign metrics, we really offer two things that are very kind of core to us. So one is attribution the way that you guys want it. So like I mentioned, a lot of our advertising partners will utilize last touch in terms of their attribution methodology, which is great. But there are other options out there. And we believe that offering the ability to look at that campaign data in a myriad and variety of different ways really helps provide more actionable insights and analysis to really kind of drive those outcomes that you want. So one of the most important that I think, especially when we're talking about, obviously video formats, is looking at that from a first touch perspective, right? If you're trying to engage a new consumer or a new demographic, right? Like, how do you kind of really understand what that first touch point looks like, right? Sometimes that's even the most important. Looking at it from a linear perspective, if you're running an omni-channel campaign that has a mixture of connected television, maybe mixed in with some online video, maybe throw a little bit of native and display and retargeting there, right? How does that look from the user journey in terms of understanding all those various touch points and how they work together to obviously kind of drive the most desirable outcomes? And then time decay. Most of us in this room probably work across a variety of different verticals. And so, selling a hamburger for $3.65 is obviously going to be a much faster kind of conversion versus selling, a $75,000 Lexus, right? And being able to understand what kind of that conversion path point looks like from time decay also really matters. Pair all of that with measurement. So obviously, you're going to have your campaign KPIs, right? Like we talked about. Is that foot traffic? Is that online sales? Is that driving, more site traffic? Or maybe it's even more kind of brand awareness type things. But how do you guys really measure what's going on in terms of other types of insights and analytics to really help drive the needle? And what that is for a couple of things is one, brand lift, right? So everyone here is probably very familiar with brand lift studies. Do you know about my brand? What do you think about my brand? How do you feel from a sentiment perspective? What do you think about my competitors, right? All of those insights are built in, integrated into our dashboards on a one-to-one basis. Incremental lift as well, right? When I add a more upper funnel metrics such as connected television or OTT, what kind of incremental lift does that have? What type of incremental sale? We use a methodology here at Digital Remedy called ghost bidding. So if you're not familiar with what ghost bidding is, it basically allows you to run incrementality testing without having to siphon off a control group to serve PSA ads. Again, just another way that every single dollar that you spend with Digital Remedy goes towards actual working media. And then third, and not last but least, not least, not last, is our customized halo effect. And what halo effect actually allows, and it's custom and proprietary to us at Digital Remedy, and one of my favorite things I love talking about with customers is actually running a study that helps you understand when you add connected television or OTT, how that channel actually influences outcomes, right? So when you run incrementality, basically that allows you to say, okay, what would or wouldn't have happened, if someone was exposed to our media? Halo effect actually allows you to basically create and have reporting and optimizations and analytics that actually helps you build out that full funnel. So for example, a lot of our agency partners are very direct response focused, right? They need to really kind of move the needle with every single dollar that they invest in media. So typically, what are those two channels that they always go to? Kind of by default is search and social, right? So when you add an upper funnel metric like connected television, you want to be able to show the impact that has on your lower funnel type media. And that's really where halo effect comes into effect. Wrap all this up into our campaign platform that is 100% transparent in terms of the insights that it offers. It's also fully customizable for any of your client needs. It allows all of our agency and brand partners to access all of the data in real time to understand what is really going on, right? Pulling out different types of insights, visualizing that campaign data, whether that's in graphs or charts or things like that from an exportable position, and really kind of understanding what's really driving the needle for all of your campaign goals. Again, thank you very much. Like I said, I would keep it brief, but I am Elizabeth Estell here with Digital Remedy. If you have not had the chance to speak with me, please come talk to me later, as well as my fabulous CRO, Jeremy Haft. So thank you guys very much.